Number 10. Domino. With all these crazy missions that superheroes go on, you gotta wonder just how they deal with some of the horrible situations that they've had to deal with. Maybe hooking up with each other is one of those ways to pass the time and get over things. Yeah, so Wolverine and Domino weren't together too often, but when they were assigned to the same X-Force team, their relationship grew pretty strong and they ended up working out a friends with benefits type deal. So yeah, after these crazy missions, they would unwind with each other. We can find this firsthand in X-Force Sex and Violence. I mean, of course, just read the title. And in this story, Domino gets involved with the Assassin's Guild and the Hand and needed a way to get her mind off the events. I mean, you could do that, or therapy, for sure. Different strokes for different folks. Literally. And before we go on to number 9, if you guys want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up on the video because it helps out our channel so much. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's keep going with this crazy list. Number 9, Amir. This next romance lasted about 10 issues and it begins with Wolverine Volume 3, issue 48. She even says for Logan not to worry about their hookup because Atlanteans don't have the same hang-ons that humans do when it comes to physical intimacy. It can be just about the physical elements only. And it's funny because Wolverine is the timid one this time around. He's vulnerable. He even says that he's not worried. He just feels like he needs someone to talk to lately. So what started out as Amir and her team helping Wolverine with a mission turned into this relationship, with Wolverine really caring about her. Amir unfortunately didn't survive during a mission against the Scimitar organization. Number 8. Lin's son. This next one happens in the 4-parter Wolverine Manifest Destiny. So when Wolverine was in Chinatown, San Francisco, he saved a woman named Lin from the crime lord, the Black Dragon. She refers to him as her lover in issue 3. Now, what Wolverine doesn't realize is that by successfully taking out the Black Dragon, Logan now becomes that role. So naturally he refused, but by refusing, that upset Lin. To quit would be dishonorable to everybody, so while he was leaving, she stabbed him in the eye with a spearhead, warning him not to return. So when the X-Men relocated to San Francisco, he took a trip down memory lane, but now Lin is not the same. Lin is dead, lover, she says. You killed her a long time ago. Then she goes on to explain that now she's the Black Dragon, Queen of the Triads, and Empress of the Chinatown underworld. Wolverine took over as the new Black Dragon and Lin escaped through the sewers holding that same spearhead.
Number 7, Scotty and Jade. Scotty and Jade were Old Man Logan's naturally born children, which he had and raised with his partner Maureen. It's thought that Scotty was named after Scott Summers, Wolverine's old and long dead friend. Both his son and daughter, as well as Maureen, were of course murdered in Logan's absence when he went on that mission to acquire enough money to pay rent to the Hulk gang. This was the consequence that Logan was threatened with by the Banner Clan if he didn't pay rent in time. The sad thing was he did collect and bring back the money in time, only to find that the Hulks had gotten bored and restless, tired of waiting, so they killed his family anyways, before the due date that Logan and the Banner Clan had actually agreed upon. Pretty tragic.
Number 6. Black Cat. Wolverine and Black Cat Claws was a 3-parter released in 2010. In it, we find the start of a romance with Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. When she first met with Wolverine, they were both kidnapped by Kraven the Hunter, and in order for him to hunt them down on his tropical island. Sounds like a great way to pass the time, sure. Now at the start of this, Black Cat and Wolverine were really not a fan of each other. But after you go against Kraven and run around together, you're bound to bond in some way or another, especially when you're beating up bad guys together. So while it turned out that Kraven was actually a robot the whole time, the true villain all along this whole time was Arcade and his girlfriend White Rabbit. So now they're taking down robots together, and in the 3rd part of the story, the cover alone suggests that the pair get pretty close. So Black Cat steals a helicopter, Wolverine almost gets eaten by a fish. It's wild. And then this is when Black Cat admits that Wolverine was growing on her. And then on cue, he hops out of the water. And then cuts to the two of them on a date a few days later where Black Cat reminds Wolverine that she can also smell pheromones.
Number 5. Emiko. Emiko is the adopted daughter of Wolverine. She first appeared in Uncanny X-Men issue 181 where her mother was killed when a dragon from Battleworld rampaged through Tokyo. True story. Wolverine agreed to look after Emiko as her mother lay dying, worried for her daughter's safety. Wolverine promised to raise her as his own, and well, that's kinda what he did. Well, it was mostly his fiancée Mariko who raised her, as Wolverine of course was often busy with X-Men missions. After Mariko was assassinated by the Hand, Emiko ended up in the foster system. When Logan learned Emiko's foster parents were not taking proper care of her, he removed her from their care and asked his friend Yukio to look after her. Seeing as how Emiko has spent most of her life raised with Clan Yashida, although she does not have any powers just yet, she is trained in the martial arts. She's even teamed up with Wolverine and Yukio at the end of issue 303 of Wolverine. It's pretty cute.
Number 4. Gak. Sometimes you can find love in places you never thought you would. Like say for instance in Savage Land. When Wolverine got to Savage Land, he was alone. He was doing a solo adventure and then he encountered a tribe whose leader challenged him to a battle, trial by combat. The two battled it out and Logan came out on top with the tribe cheering along. Gak is defeated. But who is this Gak? When he goes to meet the leader, he's surprised that it is a woman. Who knew? They can fight too, Wolverine. They spent some time together and they eventually became lovers. So Gak became pretty protective over him as she fought off the other woman who got even close to him. Things took a turn once Wolverine started getting chased down by a dinosaur and then he was promptly eaten by said dinosaur. But of course he was revealed to be alive and then Gak tried to find ways to keep him in the Savage Land after that. She's like, yay, you're back, but also don't go anywhere. I'm gonna hide your plane. Yeah, she hid his plane from him. She wanted no way for this guy to get out. But eventually he had to return home by plane with a sad Gak watching. Hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave, Logan.
Number 3, Torrent. Kendall Logan is the amazingly cool daughter of Wolverine and Storm from the alternate Earth of 9811. Reality 9811 gives us an alternate world where the heroes and villains that Beyonder transported to Battle World during Secret Wars never left. Torrent was one of the heroic children who assembled to battle the children of the villains. Torrent has her father's healing factor and her mother's abilities to control the weather. She can also fly, like Storm.
Number 2. Ultimate MJ. Ah yes, the Ultimate Universe, home to the Scarlet Witch Quicksilver relationship, which still ended up making its way into this list. But there's also some MJ and Wolverine weirdness that happens as well. So after Ultimate Spider-Man issue 66, Wolverine and Spider-Man switched bodies. Yeah, I'm talking Freaky Friday style. This all happened after Mesmero switched their bodies, so Peter was like, okay, well, if you're me now, I really need you to go to school. We're like 15. This is important. This is the only thing you have to do, and also maybe fight a couple of bad guys. So while Wolverine was in Peter's body, he at one point ended up kissing MJ and even tried to sleep with her. Yeah, I guess all those walks to school with her made him realize how awesome she was. MJ told him she wants to wait until they're older for that kind of thing though to happen. Thank God she said that, honestly, or else I don't even want to know. I don't want to go down that road. And number 1. Charlemagne. This one was revealed in Spider-Man vs. Wolverine back in 1987. So back when Wolverine was a spy, he had gotten with an agent known as Charlemagne, and they were really close, like most of these are when they start. So after their time together, she went on to become a mercenary for the KGB, but when they finally reunited, she had gotten too deep into this trouble and wanted Wolverine to be the one to take her out rather than her get tortured. Brutal concept, just all bad. But good guy Spider-Man luckily wasn't gonna let that happen as long as he was there. So they fight it out a bit until one of Spider-Man's punches accidentally hits her instead of Logan. And then Wolverine holds her until she fades away. Wow, nothing like Spider-Man just punching one of your past lovers out of existence. So for that, this one easily takes number 1 because of how sad it is. MJ is weird and gross and creepy, but this is, you know.
Number 10, Ren Duren. Ren Duren, which sounds kind of like Duran Duran but isn't, is Logan's daughter from an alternate universe. Her mother was a sorceress known as Sylvie Darkness, and she grew up in a family with a strong lineage of magic users. She herself has both a healing factor and magical abilities, which allow her to open portals. Her bone claws seem to also be imbued with mystical energy as they glow. Ren made her first full appearance in 2019's Marvel Comics Presents issue number 5. Number 9, Shadow Stalker. Are you ready for the mongrels? Cause they are coming! Coming for Wolverine's head, that is. The mongrels were a group of Wolverine's children who all kinda had a personal vendetta against him, many of them being abandoned by him. They were convinced by Daken to become a group known as the Mongrels, who were trained by the Red Right Hand to become assassins and take on Wolverine. Shadow Stalker was one member of the Mongrels who didn't even get a name. We also don't know who her mother was, but she had a very interesting look when it came to her costume, sporting a weird mask with flail-like hair tendrils, like a flail ponytail. Pony flails. Cannonfoot. Cannonfoot was another mongrel. Once again, we do not know his name or the name of his mother, but Daken also found him and brought him into the fold. His abilities we know to be closer to Wolverine's, giving him an animal-like instinct, superhuman strength, speed, and agility. He also appears to have claws on his toes and fingers, similar to Sabretooth.
Number 7. The Pink Lady. Wolverine and Dupe, issue 1. We find the Pink Lady, this mysterious woman who Logan met during his time with Dupe. Now, Wolverine and Dupe were looking for this stolen artifact named the Pink Mink, which of course led them to the Pink Lady. At first, Dupe is all over her. She's laying on the pool table, they're having a moment, and Logan in the meantime is just hanging out at the bar. In issue 2, things start to escalate. So the Pink Lady is sitting with Dupe and Logan, and things are getting kind of flirty now. After a daring rescue, there's a few emotions in the air, and Logan tells Dupe to back off because he is clearly not her type. The Pink Lady even asks them to stop fighting over her, but sarcastically, you know? She's like, hey, knock it off. Quit it, you two. Logan ends up getting with the Pink Lady, and Dupe gets with the Pink Mink. Everybody wins.
Gunhawk. Gunhawk became the leader of the mongrels. He actually got a name, and so did his mother. Yay! His name is William Downing, and his mother was Dolores Downing. She is believed to be a Canadian woman, though the story of her and Logan's relationship still remains pretty unknown. Downing's mother died of old age, so it's likely that she and Logan met a long time ago. And Downing himself is not a young man. He takes the name Gunhawk, inspired by the famous Western gunslinger of the same name. He doesn't appear to have any powers, but he is an expert strategist and skilled combatant. Like the rest of the mongrels, William died fighting his father. Wolverine gave them the option to surrender, but they refused. Later on, Wolverine would discover that the team was composed solely of his children and buried them, feeling great sorrow and remorse for being made to kill them. Wolverine just has such a tragic story. Everything that happens to him is terrible. Number 5. Brian and Mari. Brian and Mari Logan are the children of both Mariko and Wolverine from Earth 1298. This is an alternate reality where Xavier would end up becoming the new Shadow King, and as such the X-Men would be led instead by their co-founder in this reality, Magneto. Here, Havoc is also the only surviving member of the Summers family. We first see Mari and Brian in the Mutant X series, where they are kidnapped by Sabretooth and later have to be saved by their father. Number 4. Scout. Scout was formerly known as Honey Badger and is a clone of Wolverine. She was also created using Wolverine's genetic material and that of geneticist Sarah Kinney. She is one of 10 clones created in this vein who are often referred to as the Sisters. Gabrielle Kinney, or Gabby, was created by Alchemex Genetics and was trained and used as a bodyguard to be sent out on missions. Her and her sisters were made to feel no pain, which sometimes gives her a strange edge in comparison to some of Wolverine's other children, if we're talking about power levels. Although, you know, pain is there to be felt for a reason, so.
Number 3. Squirrel Girl. Doreen Green. Alright, this one's pretty messed up. This has been speculated for a while now, and it comes down to a simple page of text. In New Avengers, issue 7, we see the two talking as if something had happened. Something rather intimate, that is. Cause see, Doreen is like, well, I hope we can agree to be professional, and Wolverine's like, why of course. Also, you look amazing. And she's like, hey, you look amazing too. So there's something there. This romance fling thing becomes more evident come Wolverine issue 8, when Emma Frost had entered Wolverine's mind and literally found a room called Sexual Fantasies. So Emma says, I know I'm gonna regret doing this, and maybe she was right. Upon opening the door, none other than Doreen Green is there herself, just hanging about.
Number 2. Daken. Daken's original name was Akihiro. He is a mutant natural-born son of Wolverine and his wife Itsu. Itsu herself was very pregnant with Logan's child when she was murdered by Bucky Barnes during his time as the assassin known as Winter Soldier. It was later revealed that Itsu's unborn child did not perish, but was instead cut out of Itsu's womb and retrieved by the villain Romulus. Romulus later left the baby on the doorstep of a wealthy Japanese family, who took the baby in and raised him as their own. The family named him Akihiro, but the servants referred to him as Daken, meaning mongrel, because of his mixed racial appearance. Romulus would later reveal himself to the boy after everything kinda went sideways, claiming to be him from the future and attempting to use and manipulate Daken for his own purposes. Daken and his father, considering his backstory as such, have had a rocky relationship throughout the comics, and Daken is often painted as a villain or a reluctant anti-hero. Number 1. X-23, also known really as just Wolverine. She and her dad are both Wolverine, really. Laura Kinney is technically the genetic twin of Wolverine. She was created when Facility tried to create a clone of Weapon X to use well, as a weapon. Sarah Kinney, an acclaimed geneticist, was brought in when Xander Rice failed to replicate the adamantium bonding procedure on any of his subjects, who all died during the process. The genetic sample that Sarah was attempting to use to clone Wolverine with was damaged, which prompted her to suggest making a female clone instead of reconstructing the genetic sample artificially, which would take years. When Dr. Sutter and Xander Rice refused to agree with Kinney that this was the best way to proceed, she rebelled and decided to go against their wishes, moving forward with her version of the project. In the end, she was forced into being the surrogate mother for baby Laura and regretted her earlier views of seeing this being as only a weapon instead of the true miracle of life that it was. Laura would grow up to be X-23 and would eventually escape the facility and track down her genetic father, Wolverine. Number 10. Sisters. The Sisters were a group of clones that Gabrielle Kinney was a part of. Altogether, including Gabby, there were 10 of them. They were created by Alchemix using samples of DNA from both Logan and Sarah Kinney, Laura aka X-23's mother. They were each known as a new numbered clone for X-23. Zelda was the oldest and the leader. With the sisters, the elders usually protected the younger clones, with Gabby being one of the youngest and often receiving the most protection from the other sisters. Alchemix intended to create them to be used as bodyguards, but they eventually escaped and sought to get revenge on their captors, running into Laura Kinney, who was Wolverine at the time, and who initially questioned their motives. Number 9. Fire Knives. On part 1 of this list we talked about some of the mongrels, but there was someone that we did not mention. Fire Knives is a daughter of Wolverine. We don't know much about her, not knowing her true name or the name of her mother or who exactly her mother was. What we do know is that Daken recruited her to join a team known as the Mongrels, whose name was likely inspired by the name Daken had taken, which means mongrel in Japanese, a cruel name that his adopted parents' servants referred to him by, due to his mixed appearance. The Mongrels were a group used against Wolverine by the organization known as the Red Right Hand, all of whose members had a vendetta against him. We don't know if Fire Knives had any superhuman abilities or was a mutant like her father, but we do know that she was a skilled martial artist and a combatant. It's also possible, considering her own fiery red locks, that her mother was a redhead, which Logan tends to have a weakness and fondness for, like many other characters in comics too. Seems to be a pattern in the comics world. Redheads, we like redheads. Number 8. Hulk Jr. This is the child that Old Man Logan adopted after defeating the Banner clan, who in turn had killed Logan's family after they got tired of waiting for him to return with the rent money. When Logan of Earth 807128 had discovered they had killed his family, he went into a rage, killing everyone except for little Hulk Jr., the original Hulk, Bruce Banner's favorite and newest member of the gang. Baby Bruce was then adopted by Old Man Logan, joining him on his adventures, with Logan vowing to raise him as his own son and teach him how to be a hero. Sophist. All we think we know is that Sophist is likely Mexican. He is also a member of the Mongrels. Once again, we do not know his mother's name or his name. We know that he wears a luchador mask and enjoys shouting out battle cries in Spanish though. He often fought with a chainsaw strapped to his arm, hence his mantle of Sophist. Number 6. Kuan. Kuan is Wolverine's young clone who is from the alternate Earth of 13119. He first appeared in the Savage Wolverine series, where we were both introduced to him and also watched him die. What's rare in comparison to the reality of Earth 616 is that Kuan was a male clone, whereas many of the Wolverine clones we've seen have been female. He was sent after Logan to help retrieve, or potentially kill and retrieve, his body for a mysterious organization that is never revealed. Instead, the two of them end up teaming up.
Number 5. Seraph. This one comes from Wolverine Origins Annual number 1. Her name was Seraph, and she was really something else. She had taught Logan how to kill, and he enjoyed killing people for her. Kind of the perfect pair if you ask me. She was ruthless to most, but to him, she was gentle. Yeah, for a 1920s relationship, this one was pretty spicy. I mean, Logan carved trees for her. He was romantic. But there was more to her than Logan had thought. I mean, after all, he says, why would this woman that I loved so much lie to me? Then in Wolverine issue 126, he looks back and reflects on their relationship and how she was killed sadly by Sabretooth. Another love lost to time.
Number 4. Wild Thing. Wild Thing is Rena Logan, the daughter of Wolverine and of Elektra from the alternate Earth of 982. The reality of Earth 982 has the Age of Heroes, the big boom of superheroic activity on Earth, happening 15 years earlier in comparison to the main continuity of Earth 616, meaning a lot of our heroes from the main continuity in this reality are retired or simply older now, such as the case for Rena's parents. Rena is a high schooler when we meet her who is trying to balance the lifestyle of being a hero with that of being a teenager. Her abilities are similar to her father's, but instead of bone claws, she has psychic claws. She is also an insanely skilled martial artist, having been trained by both her father and her mother, so not someone you want to mess with. Number 3. Jimmy Hudson. Jimmy is the son of Wolverine from the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610. He was adopted by James Hudson, who promised to take care of Wolverine's newborn son after the two fought together in Iraq and Wolverine died. Jimmy's last name was changed, and he was raised without ever knowing about his father, or that he was likely a mutant. When he was a teenager, his power manifested, and it was only then that he learned of his true origins. Number 2. Kirika Yashida. From the Age of Apocalypse alternate Earth of 295, we have the daughter that Mariko, Yashida, and Wolverine never got to have in the main continuity reality of Earth 616, Kirika Yashida. So many alternate Mariko and Wolverine children. I love it. Mariko and Logan, aka Weapon X, took different sides following the rise of Apocalypse. Weapon X joined Apocalypse and the side of mutants, while Mariko allied herself with the Human High Council. As such, Kirika was somehow lost and I don't know, she became the prisoner of Mr. Sinister somehow. She was later retrieved from his labs after Apocalypse's defeat, where she had been labeled as X-23. Kirika has claws like her father and seems to have his superhuman senses as well. Number 1. RAZE Darkholme. RAZE is the son of Wolverine and Mystique from the alternate reality of Earth 13729. This alternate timeline saw an alternate Wolverine become headmaster of the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning. It is also the home to a new brotherhood of evil mutants led by Charles's and Mystique's son, Charles Xavier II, and his half-brother RAZE. RAZE first appeared impersonating Kitty Pryde in X-Men Battle of the Atom issue number 1 in order to get closer to Wolverine so that he could take him out. We also learned that RAZE killed his mother, whom he then took the place of. He has both the combined powers of Wolverine and Mystique, and is even believed to be a more powerful and skilled shapeshifter than his mother. Wow.